Hey Spuddies, PotatoMcWhiskey here, and welcome back to Byzantium, where we got ourselves a whole bunch of tank armies, and things have been going pretty damn well. We've managed to take Egypt's capital, and we've also managed to take the Mayan capital, and we got to start thinking about how we're going to attack the Arabians as well as the Canadians. I'm probably going to have to go through Hong Kong for the Canadians, and then I think Australia is over here to the far east, and then I don't even know where France is. But we do have our short-term and long-term goals sort of mapped out for us. I think we're going to punch through Copan, Uxmal, and see what's going on with Hong Kong. And then I think we're also going to punch through Mecca and kind of see what the lay of the land down here in Arabia is. I think also it's probably a good idea for me to just continue to improve my land with the use of builders and stuff like that. Like the city of Nicaea is a really, really good place for science and culture, so it might be a good idea to try to get more population room in here. If I take a look at the city, and you know, it's generally pretty well improved. It's working a few unimproved tiles, and there's a couple of like low quality tiles like this over here. I could go ahead and build more zoos. It's basically a 16-turn tank, so it shaves 3 turns off of a tank, which I guess isn't too bad. And so for that reason, the fact that it's a cheap tank and I can just mass expand my army by building these, I think that's what I'm going to do. I feel like the larger my army is, the easier it's going to be to conquer the world. And that seems like a pretty straightforward logic thing. You just like, you bigger army, you conquer more. But a lot of my time will just be spent on basic logistics, like moving troops, moving religious units around, putting them on the tiles they need to be on. So I'm not sure, like, here's the thing. A lot of that, like, I can just waffle if I want. And this is actually a bit of a transition that my channel went through a long time ago, because what I used to do is I would do a stream of consciousness where I would just narrate every single thing that I was doing. And then I kind of switched to a new style, right? And those of you who've been watching the channel for a very long time might be familiar with that style switch, where instead of narrating every single thing that I did, I kind of scaled back a little bit. And instead, I would narrate only the things that I thought were important. But here's the thing, you know, am I leaving out important information if I don't, like, at least show you every single thing that I do? So here, as a fun little experiment, in this turn, I'm going to narrate every single thing that I did. We just hit a fresh turn. And Morbus, the editor, will edit this turn. Well, no, he'll edit it usually, but I'll narrate every single thing that I did this turn. I won't change the editing or anything like that, as to keep it simple for him. And then next turn, I'll go back to the old style. So we've got a galley over here. I could kill this quadrireme. Killing the quadrireme won't get me a level, but I think there might be another enemy boat nearby. No, that's totally fine. We have to promote. We'll be able to promote next turn. And then they'll get a heal and be able to continue to defend this settler as it makes its way over. That settler just got captured. Rip me. Oops, I'm dumb. So we have Adam Smith, who is a great merchant from the industrial era. He will give me 500 gold and a governor title. I don't think I'm going to pass on him. I will definitely pick him up because he is quite useful, if only really for the extra little bit of gold that he provides. We just finished repairing an archaeological museum in Koba, and this city has no more district slots. If we take a look at the city's working tiles, it's working pretty reasonable tiles. I would say this holy site working is not ideal. Maybe we could swap a tile or two into the city to give it a little bit more value on the map. And that will bring its growth time down to 9 turns instead, which I think is a little bit more reasonable. I could also theoretically get this place to build me a supply convoy so that I have just more supply convoys to help out with my army. Now, in terms of religious standings, most of these cities do follow my religion, so that is ideal, which means we should be able to push through quite easily with a mass of tanks and completely batter down the doorways. With little to no resistance. Now, some of these tanks do have levels, but I don't know how important it is to level my tanks rather than just completely smash through these cities. If I had got another tank in range here, I might have been able to actually break this city this turn, or if I had used a Tagma to provide combat strength to my tanks. Unfortunately, I did not do either of those things because I am a silly Billy. I also need to get rid of this field cannon, and it is now gone. And that will also convert another city for me. Excellent, getting me tons of era score. This is like Byzantium's like strongest frame, is when you're just conquering, when you're killing. Byzantium very much so feels like a civilization that leans forward. And what I mean by that is, if Byzantium is leaning forward, so if they have momentum, they're doing amazingly, right? If they're killing, if they're winning, if they're beating things. But here's the problem: if you're leaning forward, you have to be moving forward. You have to be going really, 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 really fast in order to sustain that forward lean. Now, if you lean forward and you stop, what happens? You fall over and you break your chin. So that's how I would describe Byzantium's gameplay. So the city of Abydos, this is a freshly conquered city with some unimproved tiles. These are very improvable tiles. I could get a fishing boat. I think the city could definitely use a builder in order to improve its tiles, and it doesn't really need another district. So I think a builder is like the main thing to do in here. Just get these the tile quality up a little bit, do a little bit of repairing, and then maybe look to build some units or something like that, or maybe just run projects. I could run encampment trading to get more great generals, improve my quality of my land, etc., or improve the quality of my army rather. And I'm just, I'm repairing tiles, I'm improving tiles, nothing too special. We'll put a mine down here. We probably want to get these Amber online soon. I'm going to keep these Tagmas where they are. I will move Adam Smith here, get myself that governor title. Do I have a use for governor titles right now? If we take a little bit of a look at things, nothing I need to promote Victor with. Magnus I could theoretically promote with Black Marketeer, which would allow me to get a lot of units at a really low price in terms of strategic resources, which could be fun for purchasing. I'll go ahead and take that because, if I come in here now, there's like a theoretical place where I could buy these line infantry for, why isn't it showing the reduced cost? Hang on. Strategic resource cost for units are discounted by 80%. So if I click on this, yeah, it only uses 4 for the line infantry. If I were to queue up, right, say this is costing me, okay, it updated 4 niter, 6 niter, and 9 niter. So it's really, really cheap for me to faith purchase a line army infantry here now. It's only 1300 faith, but it only cost me 9 niter. So there's a lot of really cool things that you can do. Also, by the way, it's 1510 AD, and line infantry have been around for a very, very long time. I think I was actually building a supply convoy here, so I will finish that. Don't really have the cash to boost supply convoys. My spy, I'm going to move my spy to Zunan Tunic. Well, actually, I only need to conquer these next 2 cities. I was thinking if I move into Zuna Tunic and then use a listening post, the listening post will last longer in mine cities, but I'm pretty sure the mines only have like maybe 4 cities left. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do the listening post here because I think I only care about killing these 2 cities. Also, we have access to a lot more oil here. I'm going to come into Tikal and buy a builder in order to exploit that oil. Otherwise, I'm just going to get most of my army to hold still. It could be legitimate for me to look into getting my hands on. Oh, they didn't capture my settler. That's really, really nice over here. So that was an entire turn where I narrated basically everything that I did. And this is a turn where I will only narrate the things that I find important to you. Let's take out Copan. This guy doesn't have a level. I probably should have pillaged for health, but I also have promotions for this, so it should be totally fine. We can blast that guy. Also, I should probably get a ranged unit that's capable of fighting, and I should get this kill just to spread my religion. Yep, let's start punching the city of Uxmal. I've got a couple of cuirassiers here, although I spent my money last turn on buying a builder, which was maybe arguably a little mistake. Not a huge mistake, just like a little one. So I don't know if I can effectively spread my army out into 2 groups, but I am going to go ahead and send my current tank army to the east with a group of missionaries while I use my artillery plus my current cuirassiers, and then when they get upgraded and combined with tanks, they'll be better off. And I'm also using missionaries as scouting units. It's kind of handy to do things like that, to kind of use units in ways that are maybe a little bit unconventional. But yeah, I'll send my main tank army push this way to try and punch through and get a lot of kills, while a slower push goes for Mecca, because I think there's more stuff to the east, so I should send my faster army east, whereas the stuff to the south, I can take a little bit of a more slower approach. Now here's a question I have. Tanks count as modern, as do artillery, so I think I would like to keep my Great General with my artillery. It could be good to keep them with the tanks, but the nice thing about keeping them with the artillery, it means the artillery can move and attack. However, if I keep them with the tanks, it gives the tanks +1 movement and +5 combat strength, which will give them a lot of strength to punch through some of these really thick and hard to break cities over here. Am I going to be able to get another Great General? I'll be able to get an Atomic Era Great General who will be useful for, I guess, eventually modern armor when I take them. Speaking of modern armor, I might want to make sure that I don't finish some of these zoos until I have modern armor on the table. So I might want to make sure that I check those things. I have a random ass settler, which I don't know what to do with. I guess I'll just send it out to the west of my empire to be used to settle like a random island, maybe for a strategic resource. More oil coming online, hello. Uxmal has a loyalty problem, but we don't care about that. We care about the fact that it has a owned by the wrong person problem. And now it belongs to me. And somehow we managed to convert another city, which I'm kind of cool with. Ooh, and the Water of Life is here too? Oh my god. With a Great General and a what do you call those things? The field supply convoy. My units will be actually healing insanely fast in neutral territory. Like it's going to be insane. This is kind of really exciting for me. The Water of Life is such a cool bonus, especially because I think most of these guys have the +3 combat strength from hills. I don't think all of them do, but most of them should have walked past that at some point. Alrighty, this Cuirassier core is ready to upgrade. Oh, this one's an army, that's why it's so expensive. So let's upgrade the core. We'll keep the city of Uxmal, nothing to do here. Let's get started on zoos. Well, maybe we'll finish the harbour first. The extra trade route and the extra food is always welcome. Always welcome. I think I want to send a spy to Halab so that I can get listening posts on the Arabians. Keep an eye on what those lads are up to. You always got to keep an eye on them. Oh, it's an ironclad. Wow, okay. Well, that's an ironclad. Alrighty. Yeah, that ironclad killed my galley. What of it? But I think I settle here and I put an encampment here. Then units that are built here will have +5 combat strength, which is kind of a neat thing that I could do. So something we definitely want to focus on here is trying to get kills. Well, we can blast the city open. Rather than trying to attack the city, I think we're a little bit more concerned with actually getting kills on units with this particular group, like this tank here. I think that's a more interesting proposition for me. And also, like, theoretically, like, converting cities to make sure that I have access to my crusade belief. There's also, like, a little bit of pillaging that can be done around on some of these cities. And so I'm going to get set up for that. Next turn, we can do a round of pillaging. And it would also be nice to get my missionaries close enough to the city to do something. But that's not necessarily going to work for me. Also, Arabia has a really big empire. But I'm liking that most of my tanks are getting the Water of Life benefit. Now, the important thing about the Water of Life is that it gives you +10 HP when healing in any territory, okay? So if you combine that with a supply convoy, I think I forgot to actually talk about this. A supply convoy increases healing for adjacent units. I don't remember how much it is. I think it might be +5. So our units will be healing +15 in all territory with a baseline of 5 as the minimum. I think it's 10 in neutral, 15 in owned, 20 inside your own city. So our units will be healing 35 HP per turn inside our own cities, which is kind of crazy. Whereas it'll be healing a full 20 HP in enemy territory. So I'll be able to heal on the go very easily. Most of these governors exist almost entirely just to provide loyalty, so a lot of these upgrades aren't super important, but I will go ahead and upgrade Reina to get tax collector. I think colonial taxes definitely make sense for you to plug in here. 45 production and 48 gold. By the way, if you want to have the numbers on your cards, make sure that you install the detailed card. Oh god, I can't remember the name of it. I've said it like a million times. There should be a link to a mod pack that has the mods that like let you see these numbers. Holy site adjacency I'm not too worried about. I'm trying to think about, like, what do I do to upgrade? I mean, industrial zone adjacency is quite nice. Is there maybe like a military card that could be handy? Like, logistics is just handy, right? My units move faster inside my territory. It lets me get reinforcing units to the front line just that little bit quicker. Also going to combine this unit together with this guy to become an army. And I have enough cash now from pillaging to upgrade you into a tank army. And I think pillaging is a really important thing to do when you're at war, because it gives you the goal to upgrade your units. Especially you want to be pillaging things that give you money. That's like one of the most important parts of going to war is the pillaging of the land. And then post-war you have to obviously like rebuild it because you destroyed it. You have to undo your evil, so to speak. So I'm wondering if the Mayans will actually take peace here. So they're willing to cede me all of their cities in exchange for 10 gold per turn from me. I'll take that 10 gold per turn deal. Like I have all the cities I care about. I could have liberated Bandar Brunei and then let Zunatuch flip independent. Like that would have been a totally reasonable thing to do. But you know, I'm not about that life. I'm not necessarily caring that much. So I put a missionary outside of the city of Mecca in order to debate a enemy unit out to kill my missionary. And that's because killing a missionary will cause negative loyalty pressure, but if I kill a unit, it causes negative and positive pressure. So it's like it's actually worth more for me to use missionaries to bait enemy units out of cities and into my firing line, essentially. Let me see if I can move. Can I move my Tagma to here? Use the flanking, because right now this tank isn't killing this guy, or he wasn't, and now he is, so nice. That should put a lot of pressure on some of these cities. Mecca is falling. I'm gonna see if I can bait this swordsman out again. And then this should be a fairly easy upgrade for you. The city of Hong Kong needs to be converted. What is the religion like in here? Any Arabian units nearby for me to convert? Not really. Okay, so this is going to tell me that I should now look for a holy site The closest one is in Koba, and I should just pump out a couple of apostles and missionaries. Let's have a look here too. Any more nearby holy sites? Literally, there we go. Muscat is another good location. Apostle, missionary. How close am I to getting railroads? I'm quite a bit away from railroads. It would be a lot of tech. I would love to have railroads, but I think modern armor is going to serve me better. A lot of people don't understand that it's not just acquiring a technology that gives you a power boost. It's when you acquire a technology. Like if you earned riding on turn 2 of the game and you're able to place a campus, that's wildly different from getting riding on turn 50. So delaying things is a very dangerous thing to do. And I tend to play a very slow and long game, so I tend to delay things a lot. But I've been trying to like this new style where I beeline a little bit more. I say it's a new style, it's actually just a reversion to the old style. I used to almost exclusively beeline in every single one of my games, and I would never ever delay for things. Let's go ahead and pillage, and there we go, there's synthetic materials, and we'll pillage. We're getting so much gold and faith from pillaging. It's really nice. Now, I'd love to bait this Hong Kong unit, this infantry, out to pillage this missionary, so if they do that, I'd be happy. Yeah, we're having a little bit of a religious stall, so we'll need to convert these guys. Go ahead and settle this city. We will immediately begin, well, buy the monument, buy the granary. Not enough gold for that, that's okay. Immediately begin a campus. Can't afford a builder. Your production is really low. Why is that? Grow first, I guess. So let me check. I forgot to check some of the zoos were finishing just at the wrong moment. Honestly, I don't mind maybe getting 1 or 2 of these tank armies. Probably just 1 actually, because I have 1 army over here that needs another unit. Let's do a check on all of the zoos. Edessa needs to be delayed. I'll just throw down a workshop to delay that. Otherwise, all of my other zoos are finishing about the right time for composites. That works fine by me. Now, what the hell do I do in the city of Constantinople? I don't see any wonders in here that completely changed the game for me. Just grab me a couple of traders so I can keep getting gold. Let's keep converting Hong Kong. Should be close to flipping to me now. Yep, we got it about a quarter of the way through. 2 more conversions will get us a step closer. The big thing is you're walking over here and you are going to get Proselytizer. That's one of the most powerful bonuses. It'll basically allow us to 1-turn convert cities. Get me another apostle, another missionary. A mixture. I find that a mixture of apostles and missionaries can be quite fun to use. There's Proselytizer as well, because I find missionaries, sometimes apostles, I tend to find like if you build apostles on the same turn, they tend to roll the same promotions. And so if they all roll like the same bad promotion, well then you're like, ugh. Whereas if you spread out like the recruitment of your apostles, like statistically you're more likely to hit a promotion that you might find useful. And so like if you just add a couple of missionaries into the mix to act as like buffer and stuff like that, and I think it just works better. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's just it's a feeling I have from playing the game a lot. So I'm on the hunt for units to kill. And the great thing about my tanks is they're like super strong right now. Ooh, enemy tank army. There we go. This is the kind of thing we were looking for. Enemy tank armies with diggers. A little bit of a stalemate. Let's bring the Great General over. That should bring things up to a major victory. Yeah, if we can get a couple of kills here, this is ideal. So I might just ignore Hong Kong and go deep and just like get a last couple of pillages and see how she goes. Now, as much as I would like to be faith purchasing tanks right now, I think I want to wait until composites are done. Although upgrading units is technically more efficient than purchasing them straight out. So I'm going to start purchasing some tank armies because I have a ton of oil that I'm not using. So if I go for an extra pair of tank armies, this will be in the city of Amasia. So they get +1 promotion and they'll get the Matterhorn bonus. I could theoretically send them out to get the Giant's Causeway for another +5, but that would be a lot of turns. Like by the time they reach the front line, they probably would be out of like their use window. So let's make sure we get this kill. Can you take the city? The Tagma can take the city. Perfect. There's Mecca under control. We'll keep that city. We need a little bit of scouting info. Let's get some repairs in here and maybe get a market. Pillaging is also like totally viable here. Arabia has basically no army, so I will need some manual conversions down here. But that's what these missionaries are also for. They're not just bait. They're also useful. All right, let's bring this tank down to get merged with my tank corps that's down here. And I think while our army score is quite high, our army is actually relatively small compared to some of the armies you tend to see in like multiplayer Civ games. It's always kind of insane actually seeing those guys like duke it out with hundreds of units. Or at least what looks like and feels like hundreds of units. When I'm used to winning wars with like 6 really ahead of time units. Oh, a little bit of combat going on there. The Australians are being aggressive. Looks like they think they can win a fight, but it does not seem to be working for them. Let me have a little think here about what we can do. We could definitely kill this digger. So boom. What about this tank corps? Let's make sure we bring the Great General. There's not really a good way to bring him into the fight, but I can get the kill. And that's a step towards the conversion of the city. Hong Kong, will you convert this turn? Almost. It's got to be really close. Surprisingly not, considering how much religious belief I just pumped into it. Wow. Okay. Very surprised by that. Not like completely surprised, just like, geez, I was expecting more. Another promotion. Pilgrim is pretty good. Also, Medic is pretty good for my current situation. If I ever... Because this Pilgrim will walk past the Water of Life over here. There is an infantry, and I do need to kill this infantry, mainly for the religious spread. Can I use the Tagma to get this kill? What if I use a flanking bonus? The flanking bonus should do it. Oh, it didn't. Now let's kill here. Step up. There's a kill and a conversion, I think. Then eat this guy. Convert the city of Cairo. Pillage all these trade routes. That's a ton of gold. You go ahead and establish a listening post inside Arabia. This way I can see what's happening. And then prepare to start blasting Medina Station. Been watching The Expanse again, actually, speaking of Medina Station. And it's been a ton of fun watching that series. God, it's so good. I need to get back into it. I read a lot of the books, but I never finished the series. And so that's something I also need to get back into. I find the books are, you know what, a hot take, a little bit of a hot take about to be dropped here. I think the show is kind of a little bit better than the books. It just feels better. I mean, I've done both. I mean, the books have, don't get me wrong, some really cool stuff going on, but I feel like, God, the show just did a really good job of bringing the books to life. So the city of Apu isn't super useful for a whole lot. What I could do is like build a very rudimentary navy here, just like some privateers to control the seas. So I'm just going to spam out privateers so that I can maybe deal with like these frigates and stuff like that, maybe get some coastal pillages. That's really all I'm looking for from that. That city is just not the most useful one that we'll ever have. Let's go ahead and look for some pillages. Need to get the city of Melbourne and stuff converted. Thankfully, Australia does have a relatively large army, so there's plenty of units for us to kill. We fully pillaged Hong Kong, so we can basically just leave now. Like, we pillaged it, we can leave. Gold trade route with Nazca, that's 15 gold per turn. Not a huge amount. And we've got our very first supply convoy finished with 6 movement range. Really good for keeping up with tanks. Ooh, are they going to get a kill? Almost got a kill. My tanks are too strong for you, traveler. My tanks are too strong for you, traveler. Let's keep getting kills. We want to really get those conversions off. So what have we converted? We converted Hong Kong, which kind of should trigger me to come back here with some of these tanks, which is what I'm going to do. Oh, a free kill here. Hello. And another convert. Melbourne is converted, which I think means we can cross this river. As they say, cross the bridge when you come to it. And we are crossing that bridge as we speak, let me tell you. Apostle, promotion, pilgrim. So Medina is going to be an easy flip for us. Boom. Let's bring in a couple more tanks. Although they can't quite get in range to attack. Let's just combine them together then. We got a builder. Let's do a little repair. What do we got? We're looking at the city of Abydos. This is kind of another city that's kind of too far away from the front line to do anything really useful. Maybe this is also just a privateer spam city. Again, so that we can pillage and get value from the coastline, just to get use out of that. Sitting in the city of Copan. May as well just build a military academy. Great general points are useful. I need to get some religious units down here to the south. Although you need to tap, at the very least tap the, what you call it over there. Oh my god, I can't remember the name of the word. The thing that is a natural wonder, so that you can get your belief. Your extra spreads. Let's grab ourselves more epistles. More epistles, please. More missionaries and epistles. So, supply convoy-wise, I'm going to send one to the east first. I have a couple more supply convoys on the way, I believe. I think Civ 6 did a lot of really interesting innovations. The biggest problem with the innovations in Civ 6 is that they can be ignored when you're playing against the AI. They're kind of necessary against players, Nice, now we have modern armor, so now a huge wave of really strong tanks are going to be coming once all of these zoos get finished. And again, just to compare the price, a zoo is 360 production, a modern armor tank is 680. So we're building tanks at half price essentially, which is really good value. Speaking of which, are there any cities here that are doing like, yeah, you could be doing a zoo. What about you, El Kuru? You could be doing a zoo. Sadanga, you could be building a hippodrome, and you should build a hippodrome. Just going to look through all of my cities to make sure that I'm building zoos wherever appropriate, because I just want a massive wave of tanks to come out now. Now, if I had been playing a little bit more carefully and a little bit more properly, I could have like had a timing push where all of my tanks come out and there's like all the modern armor comes out in the same turn as this. I could have done that kind of optimization. You know what? It's a lot of work, okay? It's a lot of work. Oh, my great general got squished. Well, let's bring him back to the front line. I think we can get this kill. Not quite. I should have had the Tagma move as well. Yeah, I could be a little bit forgetful about where all my combat bonuses are coming from. So we're going to kill Hong Kong. We're going to kill Perth. We're going to kill Melbourne. Melbourne first, I think. Almost a full kill. That's fine. You go ahead and pillage for health. You swing around, kill this tank. Spread our religion even more. You take the reactive armor promotion. We have composites. There's no more tanks that we need to get. Let's go for steam power so we can get railroads. We could plug in Medina Quarter. We don't need housing. Right now I need... 5-year plan isn't bad, honestly. There's nothing really here that changes what I do. I don't think. Except, like, maybe Total War for pillaging. Yeah, I guess we take pillaging boosts. Probably should have had that plugged in a while ago. Although I haven't really been actively pillaging in most of my wars for most of the game. I've just been kind of pillaging when it is opportune for me. I've been kind of opportunistically pillaging rather than like aggressively pillaging. Medina City is now awash with my religion. Cairo is next. Part of me wished I had moved that supply convoy down to the south, actually. And I still can. I can still move it down to the south because it'll be actually really useful adjacent to these artillery. It gives them a lot of momentum. So let's batter down the city of Cairo. God, I love doing full damage to walls is just so based. It's so incredibly based. Yep, we're starting to look for gold from our trade routes. We no longer need internals. Send another tank to the east. This is where railroads would become really, really useful because it means I could move units from one side of my empire to the other really, really quickly. We are researching railroads, right? Yeah, so I should probably mass produce some military engineers. Where do I have encampments? So I have encampments in the city of Moreau. I'll make 4... I'll just mass produce military engineers. Amasia, I will mass produce military engineers once we have finished the zoo. We don't need encampment projects. Any more encampments? Because I only have a few encampments and I want to like link up my empire pretty quick. I think 3 cities producing a full stack of military engineers should be enough for me to get railroads like throughout my entire empire basically immediately. Now the problem is we haven't actually been building up a coal supply. So let's beeline coal and then go for railroads. So I might be overbuilding them and I might not be able to actually fulfill my need for coal. We'll see. We're definitely getting into the phase of the game. Like how many turns have I done here? Like if I go to... No, it's taken me 40 minutes to do about 9 turns. Now, we've made a lot of progress in those 9 turns, right? 9 turns, we've broken like 4 or 5 cities. But this is the phase of the game where the actual amount of turns that goes by is very, very low, but the amount of shit that happens in a turn is really, really high. This is usually the phase of the game where we have reached the churn. And I think every game of Civ eventually reaches a churn point where this is a problem for the genre. And I don't think there really is much you can do to avoid the problem. Except I have been playing a game called Terra Invictus, which limits the amount of actions you can take, quote unquote, per turn to like between 4 and 8 actions per turn. And there's like 24 turns a year or whatever. And it's kind of an interesting one. We'll talk a little bit more about that maybe at a later date. Arabia wants peace. I don't want peace. I want to take their capital at the very least. But yeah, just like every 4X game has the problem where the number of turns you play, or like the number of actions you have to do per turn increases like massively, but the impact of those actions goes down. But right now, because we're playing Byzantium, we're actually taking a lot of actions per turn, and every single one of those actions is hugely impactful because we're super ahead. Which is like that's like the most fun position to be in, is when you're making a lot of actions and every single one of them is impactful. At least that's how I feel. I don't know if you feel similarly, but Rockhampton is going to get absolutely obliterated. I've got my Great General in range. Hong Kong, I'm going to start killing too. Meet up here with the supply convoy. You shoot there. Supply convoy move, and then that will allow this guy to shoot as well. A little quirk of how artillery work, by the way, is if you give them +1 movement from something like a supply convoy, they can actually move and shoot. It's a really, really cool thing. It essentially allows you to motorize your supply convoys. You know, if you're playing Hearts of Iron 4, you know, this is just like an artillery, you know, infantry artillery. This is motorized artillery when you combine these things together. It's really, really useful. In fact, I should probably do like a clickbait video where I'm like, how to motorize your artillery in Civ 6. And like literally just talk about how good the supply convoy is when combined. So we have Cairo. Now, we want to break the spirit of Arabia. So I think we'll probably take Damiette and Baghdad and then leave it at that. And then see where we need to go. Also, I'm fully aware that I think I called Canada Japan earlier, but that's just because Japan and Canada have very similar colors. Listen, my brain just autofilled based on the color of the Civ, okay? It was just like, oh, the red and white, that's Japan. Australia is begging me for peace, but not even a chance, bro. You can't just, like, expect me in a domination game to be like, yeah, bro, let's just peace it out, you know, okay? Let's all hold hands and be friends. No, it's war. We're dying. You're dying. I'm living. Can I kill this artillery? I can. There we go. No conversion on the city of Perth. There we go. There's a city of Perth converted. So this tank army, with a little bit of help from my friends. And no, we'll kill Rockhampton. Go boom. Here we go. Rockhampton is mine. I've converted the city of Hobart. We'll attack you. Let's upgrade you to modern armor. Skadoosh. This is 112 base combat strength compared to 110 or 102 for a tank army. So realistically, you're spending a lot of money for like not a huge upgrade. Although to be fair, I'm pretty sure a +10 combat strength increase. I can't remember how it works. I think a +5 is 33% more damage. +17 is like double damage or something like that. I'd have to go back and restudy the formulas. And then I could probably give you an accurate description of how the numbers work out. But the way that the numbers work out is that actually a very, very small increase in the total combat strength actually has a big impact on the outcome of a battle. Bro, did I actually find like a pocket of land that you actually can't get out of? I'm pretty sure. How did I get in here? What is happening? What? How is there... 1, 2, 3... Oh, yeah, you probably were building a wonder there. I was going to say, there was like a random circle of road. All right, let's see the numbers. There's totalitarianism. Totalitarianism is a huge upgrade. Another +5 combat strength on all of my units. A war weariness reduction and a 50% production bonus towards units. Let's go ahead and switch to fascism. Bingo bango. Move all of our military policy cards up there. So we have levy en masse to make our unit cheaper. We can upgrade for cheaper. We have a combat bonus from Wars of Religion. We have a movement bonus inside our territory, and we pillage better. Are there any of these that I want to plug in? Third alternative is pretty good. 60 gold and 30 culture. That seems pretty valuable. We could also plug in martial law to give us extra war weariness reduction. This could be handy long term. 5-year plan is pretty good. Science and stuff like that, although maybe gold would be better. Maybe I should plug in triangular trade instead. I don't think I care about legacies, military organization. Not bad, to be honest with you. I think I just plug in lightning warfare so I can mass produce tanks. So now I believe I have a 100% production bonus towards tanks. So if I were to come into my capital, for example, and try to build modern armor, I can build them in 10 turns, which is a pretty good clip. But my units should be incredibly strong now. Are there any cards I could upgrade here? Triangular trade, would that be upgraded by... market economy? Probably not. Let's think about what our next step in combat strength is. I can keep the fascist legacy if I go up to corporate libertarianism, which kind of appeals to me. I'm trying to see, is there a card here that would really help me out in my war? I don't think there is a particularly important card for me. I think just fascism is like the be-all, end-all of military aggression here. Yeah, I'll make my way towards globalization for better trade routes and then corporate libertarianism for a slightly improved government. Now my modern armor hitting the city of Perth. Like take this modern armor. Ooh, that's a big chunk of the city compared to my regular tanks. Wait. Oh my god, 143 combat strength compared to 133. If I move the Great General forward. Oh, you don't get the Great General because you're the wrong era. Oh yeah, that makes sense actually. Reactive armor. You move there. Move there. Rockhampton has fallen. Let's do some upgrades on our tanks because we can afford it. Well, we can afford some of them. Supply convoy blast, supply convoy blast. Can I get a modern armor in here to finish the city? Not quite. Oh yeah, actually. We can one-shot Aden with a modern armor. Oh my god. Oh my god! Bro, stalemate broken. We're winning the game. Thank you guys for watching. I love you all very much. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.